This is Resonance 104.4 FM, flipping marvellous. Ah, yes. 'Tis I, Nicholas of Hennegan, once more coming to you with Literary London, another slice of, well, you know, literature in London. Also, of course, on bohemianbritain.com, you can have a look at us there. The world's second most popular podcast to follow. It always makes me laugh when I mention that, because, you know, does it mean you've got a bigger, you know, tin of beans? Because the Bohemian, you know, the number two. Number one's in New York, but let's forget all that. And actually, I am rather marvellously, as you can probably tell, no Swans this time. No, not Stratford-upon-Avon. I'm actually in Fitzrovia, back home almost. And as is often the case, I'm sort of downstairs. I'm in a hole in Fitzrovia, and it's a very famous hole that I sort of known of for years and years and years and years, and then sort of hasn't been doing anything other than being a hole for a long time. And now it's reopening again. And to tell you all about what is the Soho Poly, yes, I know you've heard of that as well. I've grabbed hold of Brett. Hiya, Brett.
Hiya.
And you met us at the doorway in the lights.
I did indeed.
So just tell us a bit about yourself and then what this is.
Of course, yeah. So my name's Brett Fegan. I work for the University of Westminster in the development team here. And my role is particularly trying to get that funding for projects for the university to be able to explore. And the Soho Poly is one of our priority projects at the moment. So it's an iconic venue. It is one of the first Fringe theatres in London, developed in the 70s and 80s, which fell into disrepute and into ruin, and it's been renovated in the last 10 years bit by bit, and now the university has put up the funding for it to be able to be properly changed again, and now we're just trying to get the last funding over the line for it.
Because it's not a massive building, is it? But it's three. Is it 3 stories? How is it going to work? I don't know how. I'm not really good at how many feet and inches this is, but it's quite intimate.
Yeah. Oh no, it is. It's a proper hole in the wall. So we're down here in the basement, and what we're going to hopefully do is explore up onto the ground floor, the space right above our heads, and turn that into an exhibition space for fine art, for photography, for any student or local community groups to be able to use.
And what was the history back? I mean, Soho Poly 50th anniversary. So was it? It's always been part of the university, and did some lecturer a few years ago think, no, let's put on a play? How did it work?
Oh, tough to say. No, basically, yeah, 50 years ago, the space was used as a theatre and music venue for the students here, and it was also used by the Soho Theatre group, which have now moved out, gone to Dean Street, set up and expanded brilliantly into the Soho Theatre, which many people know today. However, the place ended up getting used as classrooms, things like that. It over 20 years, yes, it was kind of at the very top end of its fringe theatre or lunchtime theatre, where local people could come in for a lunchtime and just watch an hour's play or an hour's performance, and then be able to head back to work again. And we want to renovate that. We want to bring that magic back again. So yeah, 10 years ago, it was rediscovered by Matt Morrison, our lead academic here, who's also a fantastic playwright, and Guy Osborne as well, who's kind of more on the music side of things. And those two wanted to bring back the magic of the space, and to be able to allow the students and the local community to be able to use it for what it was always built to do, which is be a bohemian fringe theatre, which is accessible for all.
Yeah, I mean, and it does. I love the quote. There's a quote over there on the wall from David Edgar that says the Soho Poly was the equivalent of Shakespeare's Rose Theatre for the alternative theatre movement. That's quite a claim, but it feels right. So I mean, I never actually came here, having said that, in the 70s. I'm far too young. No, I'm not. I'm really not. But it was a name that everyone kind of knew. And I mean, there's some fantastic alumni have come from here, hasn't it? Some very famous people cut their teeth in here.
Exceptional. I mean, we're talking Bob Hoskins, Simon Callow has performed in the space as well. Names that, there are so many that I barely even think off the top of my head, but also lots of the creatives behind those performances as well. Lots of playwrights have, as you said, been able to kind of cut their teeth and have moved on to bigger and better things, but they started off here, and especially a lot of students of the space. Only just the other day we had John Ronson, the gonzo journalist and author, broadcaster, and he was just in the space the other day explaining about his experience of being down here and remembering the space as a Westminster alum. So even if they didn't perform here. Many people who attended Westminster got to enjoy the performances here. So it is very iconic for lots of people around the space.
Yes, I remember the idea of the pie and a pint. It wasn't quite a pie and a pint, but the lunchtime theatre.
Absolutely.
And so what stage are you at now?
So the university has, as I said, put up the majority of the costs, but we've got a shortfall of around £30,000 to £40,000 left to find. And once that funding is through the door, we can get the developers in, we can get all the bricks and mortar moved around and make this place accessible. That's what we want to do. We want to be able to allow the entire community in, to be able to run outreach programs with local community groups, collaborate with all sorts of different partnerships and corporates and anybody who wishes to use the space, allow it to become a Fitzrovian asset in this area of London again. And I think once that funding's through, I think it will take around 6 months to a year. So we're hoping to open obviously at the latter end of this year towards the start of next year and be able to welcome London back into the space again.
It's a funny space, isn't it, Fitzrovia? Because I wrote the London Literary Pub Crawl that goes out every week, and it starts in Fitzrovia and ends in Soho. And it always struck me, we're in W1, arguably the artistic centre of the world. Sorry, New York. But there's always been this kind of villagey feel for Fitzrovia. I don't know if you get that as well, because you're working here. It's quite unique.
It is. It's strange. I mean, whenever we put out any promotions about the Soho Poly, what we always say is this corner of London, and it does. It feels like a corner. It feels like almost a hidden area. You know, it's very famous. We've got the branding, obviously, of Soho, and many people always, identify with Soho, with Bohemian, and that kind of like creative asset. And I think, with Marylebone is a completely different idea, but Fitzrovia kind of straddles that. It has a really strange, creative, vibrant feel to it. And with the BBC just around the corner as well, there's so much heritage and arts history around this area that I think it would become such an important space for the local residents and community to be able to explore and use for their own purposes. Yeah.
And as a space, presumably you wouldn't get, or what would the capacity be roughly down here?
I genuinely, I would say maybe 50 to 100. It is very small. But ultimately, we want to keep it that way. We want it to be intimate theatre, intimate music, intimate spoken word. All of these things are what makes it magical. And as you said, many people walk past the front doors and never even knew this was here, which is kind of how we'd like to keep it in a certain way. We don't want it to be too hidden, but we also don't want it to lose its magic. So.
And I love the fact that you were saying that it was actually one of the lecturers, or is he here, the chap who discovered it again?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, there's a fantastic image just behind me of him discovering it, and the walls are flaking. We've got mould running up and down the kind of, well, it was white walls, and yeah, it was just used as a storeroom, as a chucking place where people could just put cupboards and boards and filing cabinets and everything. And it was his vision from the very beginning to the very end to bring this back to what it was always meant to be, which is an arts and music venue.
We must have a chat. Where is he? I'm going to try and track him down.
Oh, let's find him, shall we?
Let's find him, yeah. Hey, you got nice sandwiches as well. Come, look at them sandwiches. Come, blimey. Hey, you can always tell. It always takes a good arts event when the sandwiches are on. Yeah. Hello, Nick Hennegan. Nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you.
This is Residence 104.4 FM, also Bohemian Britain. Thank you very much. What a great story! Just tell us. So you're the man. You're the man. You rediscovered this. The legend that is Soho Poly. And I was saying, actually, I'd not been here myself, but we knew about it. It was. I love that quote from David Edgar about the Soho Poly being the equivalent of Shakespeare's Rose for the alternative theatre movement. So just tell us a bit about yourself and how your involvement in this place came about.
Yeah, well, actually, I was writing a book about the history of Soho Theatre. Soho Theatre, now on Dean Street, was resident down here for about 20 years, from 1972 to 1990, and then they moved out. So the name Soho Poly comes from Soho Theatre and the Polytechnic of Central London. That's how the venue was formed in 1972. In 1990, Soho Theatre moved out, and the space was just sort of left to, was abandoned, really. And I rediscovered it, if you like, in 2012 when I was working on a book. And I knew the space was down here somewhere, found an old padlocked door, got it unlocked.
Wow.
Yeah, and found this sort of junk room. It had basically been turned back into just old filing cabinets, university storeroom. but we thought, it could be a venue once again.
Your creative Valley of the Kings moment. Hey, King Tut. Well, something like that anyway. And you write yourself then, obviously, you're a playwright, and then you're working at the university.
Yeah, that's right. I started as an actor, moved into playwriting, and now I run the creative writing courses at the University of Westminster. So I've got this sort of theatrical background. And over the last 10 years, we've really been trying to revive this space so it can be a pop-up theatre, also music venue again, exhibitions, other sort of community workshops. I thought it would take a bit less than 10 years, but
we started pub theatre in Birmingham a few years ago. And in fact, we're actually looking at doing a Fringe theatre near Soho, actually. So we'll have to chat about that.
Indeed,
and what's in terms of the plays that you've done and the books that you've done, what about yourself personally?
Well, I'm always working on new plays and I say running the creative writing department. But I must say, for the last few years, it's really felt that my life has been down in this little basement, turning it back into the arts venue. Yeah.
Someone was saying actually you've been sort of painting the walls yourself and stuff.
Yeah, literally. And in fact, the original artistic director of the Soho Theatre, Fred Proud, he helped me paint the walls originally back in 2012. So there's photos of him in his shorts, kind of repainting it decades after he first found it. And it was before it was a theatre, it was an underground garage. One of the things you can see is the old hydraulic lift shaft that used to bring cars down into the basement to be fixed up.
Oh wow, I wondered what that is. Yes, you can still see there, isn't it? It's still there.
Yeah. And so all sorts of people are involved in the space, and we've been meeting them as part of a National Lottery Heritage project that we're running. So Hanif Qureshi had plays down here, Simon Callow was an actor down here, Carol Churchill had an early play down here. So that was all when the Soho Theatre was the resident company. So it's got a wonderful history, and we're bringing it into the future, with a new direction, but that is, pays homage to that early history as well.
Yeah, and it's quite important, isn't it? Because as you say, it wasn't just the performers; it was the writers as well. And if you're a creative, you're a creative. It's kind of difficult if you haven't got anything to do with what you're creating. If that makes sense, perhaps.
Yeah. I think that's right. I think my interest and background in playwriting and theatre is what's kept me sort of passionate about it. And the important thing for the future is that it was a lunchtime theatre originally, and that was about making the theatre more democratically accessible. And what we want to do is reimagine that for now. Obviously no one has lunchtimes in the same way anymore, but people do have different shift patterns. There's people who work in the gig economy and so on, and where's the artistic provision for them? So we want to find spots in the day where we can have pop-up concerts, little short plays, exhibitions that people can see, not all evening based, spread across the day. And our fundamental belief is that if you disrupt your everyday with arts and culture, then your life is enriched. So we want to provide that opportunity for people.
That's a great quote, actually. I've seen it on the walls as well. There's little things about, disrupt your day with arts.
Exactly.
And how's the in the day job, how's the writing course going? How's the creative writing going?
Yeah, that's going really well. It's quite established now at Westminster, the creative writing degrees, and we get some amazing students coming through, and a lot of them are beginning to get, publications, their novels and plays and poems, produced and published. So every year we get this little trickle of emails from people who've, got really great stories about how their writing's taken off. So that's very satisfying. Yeah, and how did you get through the lockdown? How was that for you? Well, it was sort of awful, as it was for everyone, but we did actually try and be creatively sort of active. We didn't just go to ground, and we did some Soho Poly stuff as well. We produced a play online, with people the actors filming themselves on mobile phones and all this crazy stuff, and then edited together. So we carried on doing things as best we could. We ran some lovely memoir writing workshops with Open Age, charity Open Age. That was a big project that we did as a Soho Poly. So we kept going, and we didn't give up. And now here we are back, in person doing stuff, which is where we want to be. Yeah, it's great, isn't it? I was saying earlier, in a sense, Fitzrovia has this kind of... That's how we did the London Literary Pub Crawl that goes out every week, and there's tourists and Londoners, and they tend to do. It starts in Fitzrovia and ends in Soho. But there's this very much. It does feel like a village. It's not just me, is it? Fitzrovia's got this slightly villagey feel. I think that's right, and so many people have come and visited us here in the last couple of weeks and said, we've got these networks, we love working with other companies in the area, it's got this amazing history, and come and be involved in that. So we feel like we are in a community, and we have loads of potential for working with other people, residents and other businesses and all sorts.
And what's the best way? I mean, you're still at the development stage, you're still trying to raise funds, presumably, to get the last bit of money in place. If anyone wants to get in touch or get involved, how should they do that at the moment?
Yes, so you can get in touch with me. I'm Matt Morrison, and you find my details on the University of Westminster's website. Or if you Google Soho Poly, University of Westminster, you'll find various links to the restoration project. So, yeah, a bit of chasing down on Google and you'll find us. We'll have a sparkly website soon enough, but at the moment, you have to be a bit more guerrilla than that.
Yeah, you're still too busy painting the walls.
Exactly.
And have you got anything personally coming up in terms of new work?
I'm working on things at the moment, yes. I'm hoping to go on a nice playwriting retreat in a couple of months, and that's when I'll get down to some of my own writing. But for now, it's very much on the coalface here.
Which retreat, just out of interest? Because we have a lot of writers listening to this.
This one's up in the Arctic.
Wow, I didn't see that one coming. It's not some hot villa somewhere.
No, sadly not. This is not local. This is up in the far north, so proper isolation.
Wow, oh brilliant. Well, thank you very much. I mean, I'll let you get back to your painting. Now you've stopped today. You can have a cup of tea and a sandwich. Very nice sandwiches, by the way.
Oh, I'm glad to hear it.
Oh, I'm very impressed with that. I'm like a good bit of catering. Thank you very much and good luck with it, and I'm sure we'll speak again soon. Right, I'm Nick Hennegan. This is Resident 104.4 FM. Flipping marvellous. Also on bohemianbritain.com. We're at the launch of Soho Poly, or the relaunch of Soho Poly, 50 years, the 50th anniversary of the Soho Poly, and we're having a little chat. And Richard's here, Richard, actor. Hello, Richard, actor, how are you?
I'm not too bad, young Nick. Actor, you've never said anything so nice to me before in your life.
Yeah, you're very good, and then we're on air, so I've got to be nice, haven't I? You know.
Fair enough.
It's the whip and the change comes later. The hair shirt, I should say. We're in Soho, be careful.
I just love it when you talk dirty.
Yeah. And how's the, because you've been running the London Literary Pub Crawl, haven't you, which is very close to my heart. How's that sort of going? That seems to be picking up a little bit now. I mean, I know because I see the bookings coming in. How have you found the people on it post-lockdown?
Generally speaking, really, really pleased to be doing anything. Obviously, the tourists are starting to come back, and they're very happy to be able to come abroad. But whoever comes along, it's just this amazing feeling of relief that we're getting somewhere back to being normal again, and you can go out, you can have fun, you can do what Soho and Fitzrovia do best, really. But there you go.
And how are you finding the town, as it were? Oh, you've got to do an announcement.
I was going to do a quick announcement, and then we're going to have a little bit of music to close out the afternoon. So.
Perfect. Do an announcement. I'm going to record it through here. Right, so you're happy.
I'm delirious.
Good. I'll get this announcement. Oh, that's actually the only slight problem. I don't know if you've noticed, Richard Warno, actor. There's no wine.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Sorry to interrupt your conversations. Just to say that in a minute I'm going to dim the lights. Oh, actually, Jordan, could you turn that video off? Or someone turn? Yeah, thank you. Yes, we're going to close out with some music. We have. They're unstoppable in the background there. Jules, could you turn that off? Yes, we're going to have some music. I wanted to say thank you for coming and for hearing about the story. We'll still be here for a few minutes afterwards, so do please come and grab any of us if you want to hear more about how we've got to this point after sort of 10 years of work, really. It's been a long haul. But I won't say anything more at the moment, except to introduce you to our fantastic singer-performer this afternoon. So thanks very much.
Thank you. Welcome everyone. This is the last set of today. I will play two songs. Both of them are my songs. Both of them are in English. The first song is about marriage. Obviously I'm not married, so I don't know how authentic I can be with this one, but it's called As Long As I'm Free, I Am Happy.
Long as I'm free.
dry your eyes. Oh, you know it's all I want. Whoa, with the river starts to fall, I'll be dancing to the rhythm, I'll be dancing to it all. Whoa, with the water starts to break, I'll be ready for the rebirth, been ready since I met. They say it's a golden age for me. Well, I say that you're holding the gold from me. So let me burn, let me be, let me suffer so sweetly as long as I'm free, I am happy. Oh, this life in this cage, let me free from this rage. As long as I'm free, I'm awake. Ooh, see, as long as I'm free, I am happy. As long as I'm free, I'm awake. Long as I'm free, I am happy. There's no other wish that I make.
That was lovely, wasn't it? What a brilliant way to finish off. So, yes, that was a little bit of music, live, literally live, from the new Soho Poly, which is on. I'm outside now, as you can see, probably hear from the wind again. It's my wind doctor, riding House Street. It's the 50th anniversary, oh, sorry, a bit blowy, of the place being rediscovered again. I love the fact that the senior lecturer there, the senior academic playwright who runs the creative writing course, Matt, ended up painting the walls himself. There's something very, very kind of organic about that, isn't there? Yes, I love it. So that's all we've got time for this time. As always, if you'd like to get in touch, probably the easiest way is via email, radio@mavericktheatre.co.uk. That's I'm on Twitter as well, but it's a bit of a mouthful, @Nick Hennegan. I think we're also at Lit Pub Radio. I should check that out, shouldn't I? Probably easiest to email, yes? Yes. radio@mavericktheatre.co.uk. Also, don't forget, if you've got a favourite poem, I've been talking to numerous people, and in fact it was a show I was going to do last week for World Poetry Day, and so many people have been in touch. I'm going to sort of divide it into two. So if you have got a favourite poem, anything that makes you feel good, or a story, anything that makes you feel good, then do please let me know. Again, radio@mavericktheatre.co.uk. It can be, well, any poem about anything really, or to do with anyone. Just something that, perhaps is a bit special to you. Or if you'd like, you can even dedicate it. Yeah, like proper radio. Yes, mate, not off. All right, not off. Yes, you can dedicate a poem to a particular person if you know there's a reason that it's special for them. And it's quite nice. And we're going to put them all together and put them out in a couple of programmes over the next few weeks. What else can I tell you about? Oh, we had all the Irish stuff, didn't we? We've had the Irish playwrights as well. Thank you for your feedback on that. And if you have a book yourself, I've been sent a couple of books this week from local writers, which is fantastic. So we'll get in touch as well, because we're going to have a chat about maybe working with local publishers and local writers, I should say, not publishers. Well, we are publishers as well. If you're a local publisher, get in touch. I've got the Maverick Theatre book about to come out. 30 years it turns out. It's been 30 years, I tell you, since I wrote my version of Henry V called Henry V Lion of England, Shakespeare's Henry V. So we're going to have a few events as well. I'm thinking of having a party, one in London and one in Birmingham. So, yeah, fancy that? Anyway, not to worry. Keep in touch. Thank you for your company. As I say, radio@mavericktheatre.co.uk is the best way to get in touch. Thanks again to Soho Poly on Riding House Street in W1. We'll keep you informed with what's going to happen there and any advances and when they're ready to open, or if you'd like to get involved as artists yourself. That's about it for me. Again, thanks for your company. I'm Nick Hennegan on BohemianBritain.com, of course, the new website, and mainly for your love, joy, and felicitation on Resonance 104.4 FM.